collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Crowbar. For the package, you got that really nice box style package. You got the open window, great artwork here on the side. Although when you look at it like that side, it's kind of weird because it's like there's his face, there's his face, there's his face, there's his face. It's right there. You got the Transformers Generations. You got another big image of Crowbar there. You come around to the back, and you can see images of him in his suburban mode as well as his robot form. And it says, Crowbar obliterates oncoming obstacles to reach the Autobots. Then you got other figures that are available. That the Studio Series here comes with a backdrop, and obviously this is big screen inspired. Giving it a little bit more of a premium sort of feel. He does look really good. He might have a different head. I'm gonna have to take a closer look at the other one that I have, but I know we got one with the last night as well. I forgot that thing's name, but for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Crowbar open up out of its packaging and obviously in his suburban mode. Now, Crowbar here is basically the third dread, I guess, that we've gotten. Now, before I go any further, I want to apologize for my voice. I just spent all day at Disneyland and my throat is a little bit sore, but I still got to power through and get these videos done for you guys. Now, as I said, Crowbar here is basically the third. The first one that we got was Crankcase, and then that was remolded to give us the last night version of Berserker. And then Berserker was basically remolded to give us Crankcase. So in terms of the dreads, we've basically gotten two of the ones that we saw in Dark of the Moon, that being Crowbar here and Crankcase. We haven't gotten Hatchet in terms of a deluxe size. We did get it, I want to say it was a legend size figure, but that's the one that turned into like a dog or something. These are the two that died at the hands of Ironhide and Sideswipe. So it makes more sense to have these two. And as you can see, for his weapons, they are basically the same that we've gotten before. They're the little spike things. You can attach them here on the side. They are basically the same things that we got here with Berserker. You can see it just plugs in there on the side. But taking a look at the vehicle modes, on the outside, very much the same. Slight repaint in terms of some of the coloring and everything. Like Crowbar has a much darker windshield and then just windows around the side. Obviously, Berserkers are a little bit lighter. You got the same painted Chevy logo, same white for the headlights, got the same Decepticon logo. You got the same red color basically on the top. You come around to the back, same paint for the taillights as well as, again, that Chevy logo. Now, what you're seeing though with Crowbar is one of the aspects that I don't particularly like about his vehicle mode. Now, what the instructions actually tell you to do is to take these and fold these up. So you can't hide these. And you basically just wedge these in. You can already see kind of what's going on. You wedge them up there and you can kind of hide them. That one's a little bit more problematic, but you can see it kind of pushes everything out. And one thing that I also don't like is it ends up bending these, and you can see it's already kind of warping here. So in robot mode, they end up looking, and yeah, this is all jacked up now. The robot mode ends up looking with his dreads coming out facing the wrong way. If you force them up in that direction, you'd end up having to like heat them up and get them, or just kind of force them into position. But you can see it just pops everything out. So I'm not a big fan of that. You can leave it like that, and it looks like he's just dragging these along the ground. It's a little bit ugly, but I'm going to have them in robot mode, so I guess I can't complain too much. But the vehicle mode, well, I guess you could kind of, the sirens are a little bit darker here on Crowbars than Berserkers. So where Berserker came from, I have no idea. I mean, he's not one of, unless he's, like I said, Crankcase and just kind of change his look a little bit. I don't know, but this guy's pretty decent. I mean, it's a solid mold. I mean, he's wicked cool looking in robot mode. As a Suburban, he is pretty small. These are all meant to kind of scale with one another. In the new Studio Series, I think that's more for the robot mode, because obviously a Suburban is going to be a much bigger vehicle. But for the transformation, it is almost exactly the same. There's a little bit that's different. I'm going to go through it, not really highlighting too much. A lot of stuff is just going to kind of pull apart and detach. It's a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So you just swivel these around and pull this away. take this, pull this. This section's going to hinge up, and this section here hinges back, and then you tuck this up and under. Again, very, very similar to what we've gotten before. Not much changes. You're going to swivel these down. You're going to rotate at the upper part of the thigh. Do that on both sides. Bring the feet down. Rotate the tire towards the back, creating a bit of a heel, although you do kind of already have one. Just fills that in a little bit more. Then bring this down. Before you kind of collapse all this, these ones on the outer section are on a hinge. You have to swivel these around like that, and then these just kind of come back. But you can already see kind of what's happening, how these are pointing up. You do need to kind of position them down. And then with this, the backpack, it's a matter of personal preference how you want to do this. Kind of collapse it up along the back like that. That's perfectly fine. Bring that down. These little bits here are going to, well, fold in or fold out his hands here, which are tough for me to get to because I don't have fingernails. So let's see. Super strong in there. I don't have anything here to pull it out, so we'll just here get him to stand. Kind of hang out there, buddy. All right, this is gonna be it. I know it. This is gonna pull it out. Release the hand. There it is. The hands have released. There we go. Pull that out. And then again, like I said, you had these. Just fold these down. Fiddle all this around. And kind of just angle this, kind of straighten them out a little bit. I'm going to stand them up a little bit more. And there you have Crowbar in his really very wicked and very cool looking robot mode. But this guy really is absolutely wicked looking. A lot was redone on this. As you can see, where the design and engineering for the transformation is still basically the same, the result that comes from it is a very, very cool looking robot mode. I absolutely love this head sculpt. I mean, wicked, evil, screams Decepticon. An alien at that as well. I mean, really, I love that. I mean, one thing that's cool, and you can kind of see that these giant spikes that come kind of looks like Serpentor, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, if you get my meaning. But it's kind of like you can see it comes around and then there's like a gap there. So, I mean, that's really cool how that's all sculpted in there. Nice red in the eyes. Good paint detail, some nice, dark and light paint here in the chest. You got a little bit of red in there as well. Come down to the arms. It's this grayish color, I guess, but it works. Form overall, you come down, take a look at the torso, the hip area. You can see you got the wheels on the side, very similar to what we've seen before. These thighs might be kind of reuses and stuff. And then you look at the legs, and the lower section of the legs are very different. I wonder if this part up here might be the same, but the way that the lower section of the legs obviously is much different because it doesn't have that weird bend in him. I mean, he kind of gets like a straight leg thing. And then like you see, you got these dreads coming out here. He was running along and these were flowing. And I love that they incorporated it in this as well. I just feel that the way that you transform it is kind of obnoxious. Unless you leave it hanging out in the back, I don't recommend bending these to get these to fold up underneath. Just leave them in the back because otherwise they're going to be bent up like that, and that's going to look for ugly robot. So doing some size comparisons, here is the ugly dude himself, and here is Berserker. You can see that size-wise they are basically the same, but they do have a unique look to them, which really does work. Like I said, the legs get very different. The arms up here, are these different? Or are those kind of, no, those kind of look the same as well. You can see because it's like that has a screw and there's no screw on that. The chest is different. The head is different. The shoulders are different. Like I said, looking at the thighs kind of look the same. Like these bits right here look the same. I guess maybe this lower crotch section looks the same, and then the knee bit does look the same as well. Let me see, bend that. That might be a little bit different. I don't know. You can see that the back, though, you do have the car kibble on the back there. How you position this is really personal preference. This actually has a little tab section where it tabs in there. These little bits right here, maybe leave it up a little bit more, or you can leave it back. I mean, it's your toy, do what you want with it, but in general, still looks really good. The feet, though, do get a little bit clunky, mostly because there's not a real solid heel. I mean, you got these bits that are heels, but it does have a tendency to want to roll. So you do kind of have to position them a little bit forward. Wonder if, no, that doesn't really help anything at all. These little bits here kind of stick off on the side. I wish there was a way you could bring these down a little bit more. I mean, you just kind of position it in angle. Well, it's a lot better than that guy. But you can see, I mean, the size, it works. And while this is not crankcase, it works for my Dread display. And then because this new Studio Series are meant to scale with one another, you can see that Bumblebee here does get a little bit smaller. I mean, they are both deluxe size figures, and obviously vehicle mode, he's going to be much larger. But you can see that this scale, I think, works pretty decently. I'm really very curious to see if they're going to do like a Studio Series of, like, say, Ironhide. I'd be curious to see how the overall scale with somebody like Ironhide would be. But I think that this scale works pretty good. I like it. First articulation, it is pretty much the same that we got here. You got a ball joint for the neck. You get a decent range of motion. The arms here have this hinge as part of the transformation, so you can move it up. But then the main ball joint here gets the full range of motion, and you can even go all the way out with that. He rotates at the upper part of the bicep. He does have a hinge here for the elbow. The wrists do move in and out just as part of the transformation. Nothing rotationally at the waist, but you do have a ab crunch right there, so you can do things. The hips here have ball joints, nice range of motion as well. You get a little bit of rotation as well because of how big that ball joint is. And then you do have the upper thigh come down to the knee, good range of motion there. The ankles do move forward and back, but really mostly just part of the transformation, I would say. So standard level of articulation, some good poses. You do have to be creative because the feet do kind of create some problems just because of the wiggle of them, I guess. But overall, decent monoposability that you can get in a figure that does look really, really very cool. Now, the transformation from back is actually fairly easy. If you've done any of the other ones, you basically know what to do. What ends up causing problems, though, I find, are the Dread things. They kind of get in the way of a lot of stuff. So first, what you want to do, straighten everything out. We're going to rotate his arm up like that. Bring that up, rotate that, hinge this up, and then swivel these off to the side. Kind of angle these so they're kind of positioned in a way. It's a little bit tricky to get it all rotated, but just kind of position it where it's going to be kind of like so. Straighten out the head, and then angle these bits down, but you can see they kind of push up, so it makes it a little problematic to do. It's not difficult by any stretch of the imagination. It's just kind of an annoyance more than anything. So you bring these back as well, and again, they're just kind of dangling there. Take this, fold this section out. All of this is the same that we've seen before. We're going to rotate this, rotate that around thusly, fold this up, fold that down, and then rotate here at the thigh. Keep these out to the side so that's spinned around like that. And then you bring these down, get that kind of out of the way, off to the side. And then you bring all of this stuff down here and kind of wedge everything in along the side. Now, the other figures have had a lot of tabbing things that kind of lock everything there. This guy doesn't, so you just kind of rest everything where it kind of needs to be. And again, take these, You're going to push these down and kind of do your best to kind of hold these down, and then bring this over. And then this fits around. And as long as you have that coming out the back, you're okay. And then you can kind of start tabbing things, although it doesn't really tab all that well. So you have to just kind of mash everything. There, you got one side, basically, kind of leave that out. We'll fiddle with that here. Oh, that one decided it wanted to go in there. So, again, just kind of, no, that section popped out. There we go. And then just squeeze that. You can hinge this, get that up like that. Hinge this there, and then bring these along the side. And these do slot in to little slot sections here on the thigh, but it is, again, a little bit, you're just kind of fighting with it. It is a little bit tricky because the thigh rotates, so you have to make sure you get that in there. There's one side. So it's not, I mean, again, I'm making it sound a lot more difficult than it actually is. It's just the nature of the shell kind of makes things a little bit problematic when you're transforming them, but when you're done, there you have him back in his suburban mode. He's a good toy, honestly. I think he looks the best in the robot mode. That robot mode looks really wicked. I really dig it. It gives that very evil alien look that the Decepticons had in the live action movies. So I like that. Vehicle mode wise here, there's a lot of stuff hanging off, obviously. I mean, the other ones had it too, kind of like along the side. The really big, high wheel well thing here, which is kind of goofy looking. These back sections, though, are just kind of annoying and dragging. Like I said, it tells you to fold them up underneath, but you're just basically wedging them in between the space. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. I might as well, if I'm going to have it in vehicle mode, I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't really care that much, but it's a good toy. It kind of completes, as I said, that little scene where there was the, little Mexican standoff. So I dig it. I mean, it's not, and the transformation really isn't all that fun, honestly. The shell nature of it is kind of a pain in the butt, and then you fold in, you add in the part that, like, this just kind of dangles there. You're kind of fighting with it. It's not difficult to transform him, it's just not really all that fun to do. But as a robot, he still looks really good, and based on that, I do recommend picking the guy up. If you are a fan of the movies, if you like having Decepticons, this one looks really good. Oh, and yeah, I forgot to bring this out, but he comes with his little stand thing. Cool. You can do that. And you can see it's the scene on the freeway where they basically were. And what a lot of people don't know is there were several scenes from this that were reused by Michael Bay from his Bad Boy movies. But good toy, decent. If you see it, and if you just want to spend some money, go ahead, pick it up. Like I said, robot mode I think is his best. I think it's really cool looking, and based on that alone, I love having them. So all of these First Wave Deluxe Studio Series were available for a very brief amount of time at Hasbro Toy Shop. I'll put a link down in the video description where you can go and check it out and see the availability on this guy. But if you missed out, they will be widely available at retail, they say in and around April. So if you can't find them on Hasbro Toy Shop, just be patient, they'll be out. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, I would really appreciate you letting me know by hitting that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, welcome. And before you go, make sure you subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, now more than ever it's important to make sure that you're getting those email notifications. We all know just how unreliable that YouTube subscription box is, and the best way to make sure that you don't miss any future reviews of mine is to click on that little bell right below this video and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, till all are one.